Good morning, YouTube. My name is Amisbro. How we doing? This video is going to be an anime review, and it is number 44, I believe, in the episode count. This is for Yuri on Ice, and this is an anime which has legitimately stressed me out for reasons that are not my fault. This series is supposed to be a sports anime. Well, somebody got covert with it and decided to make it something else also. You see, the story is supposed to be about a character named Yuri Katsuki, a figure skater who has fainted heart, who is trying to become the #1 figure skater in the world in potentially his final season. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Alright. Well, we meet in the first episode a character named Yuri Katsuki. He's from Russia. And we also meet a Russian figure skater named Victor Nikiforov from Russia. And we have a very interesting situation which develops. You see, Katsuki is a character who he is specifically the rival of Katsuki. And he says in the very beginning that he thinks that the kid, Katsuki, should retire. Well, I'm not going to argue with that. Not in the least. Simply because the way the story was told, I kind of wondered what in the hell they were doing with Katsuki. See, how do I explain this? In most sports animes, a team will do one of two things. They will truck through everybody and then falter in a big match and then come back later in the next season and kick ass. That's one thing they would do. The other thing that would happen is you would see that team falter for a little bit, then eventually get their momentum going up, and eventually win the whole thing. That's one thing they would do. Well, how do I explain this? Clearly, the writer for this series, whose name, excuse me, is Mitsuru Kubo, she didn't understand the idea of when you're writing a sports anime, you have to come up with one or the other. Because what you do, what she did here, legitimately made no sense. See, the way this was presented to the viewing public, especially in the trailer given by Avex Pictures, was this is an anime about figure skating. This is an anime about a young man named Yuri Katsuki. This is an anime about Yuri Katsuki. This is an anime about Victor Nikiforov. Those are your three central figures. That is what we're told is going to be our central cast. We are told this anime in some way, shape, or form is going to be centered around Yuri, the two Yuris rather, working to become the number ones against each other. Number ones in the world, right? Okay. If that's going to be your story, what was Victor's role going to be? Well, initially, it starts off early enough as he's going to be the coach, which was interesting because I wondered really if that made any fucking sense. Now, it makes more sense later, but the way they were telling the story, I'm sitting there going, okay, what's going on here? And then they start pulling in the fan service, and then you're wondering what the hell's going on. And what's worse about this is the minute you start pulling in the fan service as writers and directors, you need to make clear from this point what kind of story we're telling. Because if we don't, we're going to get people wondering, and if something happens that we think shouldn't, you're going to get called on it. Well, we do get some figure skating competitions, and they're actually quite fun to watch, to be honest. I actually enjoyed the figure skating portions, because that is what I was promised, and that is what I got for the most part. However, there were times when I think Kubo's vision became really jumbled. And I mean really jumbled. Did she want to tell me a sports story, or did she want to tell me a different story? Because you see, while people got mad over one of the classifications of this anime, one does fit for it. Yes, it's a sports anime, but it is also a shonen anime. And you see, the story she told specifically was a story that involved Victor and Yuri. And the story that she told was how their bond went from becoming coach and figure skater to something more. Now, this doesn't bother me, truthfully speaking, that they would become a couple. That's cool. I'm all for that, to be honest. Here's where my problem comes. Up to episode 7, and then even past that, all the fandom would talk about is that particular ship. That's it. Forget any form of the actual figure skating that went on. Forget the idea of how the routines are envisioned by the figure skaters. Forget that. That doesn't matter to them. What mattered was, do Victor and Yuri get together? Do Victor and Katsuki get together? And we know the answer. What was interesting was in the penultimate episode, and when it became a thing, there was a big to-do, a big hubbub over what was literally, if you really break it down in like real time, if you like actually sped up the scene, it's like 2 seconds. If you played it at actual normal speed, it's like a 2-second scene. They slow mode for whatever fucking reason. This started, no joke, a controversy on Tumblr. Was there a kiss, or wasn't there a kiss? Now here's where it gets really tricky. One of the stream sites, the American stream sites, when they aired it, they had to have a big discussion about it, apparently. Because for whatever reason, it became more than what it should have. What should have happened was people should have left it up to everybody's mind. So if there were people that believed that one didn't happen, leave it alone. If there was people believe that it did happen, leave it alone. What ended up happening was when one particular stream site, they know who they are, ended up doing those videos, it just caused an even bigger shitstorm. Because now, rather than leaving it the fuck alone, what we ended up with was a whole thing about the kiss scene and the censorship. I got news for you. If there was really I look at it this way, if there was really a kiss, having seen the way Seiyuichi Hatsukoi has shown kiss scenes, yeah, they would have fucking shown it. You wouldn't have to worry about having somebody's arm block your mouth, for crying out loud. That's the way I always look at it. And you know what, if there was in the end, fine. But why was it such a big goddamn deal? Because here's the thing that I think the whole goddamn fandom doesn't get. And I went off about this at least 2 or 3 times on Tumblr. I am a critic first. I am a fan a distant second. The way that they were portraying this series, Kubo and the fandom, I could have gave a fuck less about if Yuri won or not. Matter of fact, I wanted him to lose. When I say Yuri, by the way, I mean Katsuki. I wanted to see Plasetsky win. I wanted to see either Fitchett win. I wanted to see somebody else win that I might have liked. But I damn sure didn't want to see him win. And I shouldn't be resenting the main character. But it's unfortunately because of the way Kubo wrote it and the way the fandom took the story, and they didn't give a fuck about anything else. They just did it. That pissed me off too. Because here's what the fandom's so stupid about. They don't understand there's people that don't give a shit about that. They don't. We don't. Newsflash. There's people out there that actually don't give a shit about that. They just want to watch the sport and not worry about you fangirling over it. Because motherfucker, y'all were really good at taking something which should have been just cool with everybody, and you made it about your goddamn selves. How do you fucking feel? Now, that said, let's talk about the rest of it. Because I spent, 13 minutes? Fuck on, this is just a story. The animation was really good. Emotional investment to any characters, well, I would have loved to, but I've already explained in my rant about the story why I had none. And that, unfortunately, is because of the fandom. And I'm blowing my voice out because of this. You really made it so about Yuri, Katsuki, and Victor that I had no real way to give a fuck about anybody else. And unfortunately, your sensei, Kubo, is just as responsible for that. Because she couldn't write the stories for anybody else. She was one-track minded and she forgot that there was other characters involved. You need other characters to drive a narrative. You can't just write the story around them. Hell, I hate to say it, when the dog was sick, I wanted to see it die. I'm not going to lie to you. The hell? But this is literally the way it is. I have no issue with Shonen animes. None. Love them. Love watching them. I love seeing those characters develop. What I take an issue with is when you, as a studio, have to lie to me to get me to watch your series, because otherwise you feel you're not going to get to be as popular. Ask yourself this, MAPPA. Ask yourself this, Avex Pictures. Ask yourself this. What the fuck's your name again? Mitsuru Kubo. Ask yourself this. If you didn't have to sneak that in there under the cover of darkness, would your anime be as popular as it is? Because I'm going to tell you something. Remember this thing I'm about to say, and it's important. Just because an anime is popular doesn't mean it's good. Just because an anime is good doesn't mean it's popular. The one that comes on Thursday that gets shortchanged by everybody, All Out, is a billion times better than what you've told me. But it's not as popular. Why? I think I know why. I think if you're honest, you'll tell the truth as to why. Because you didn't want to tell a story about the sport. You wanted to tell that narrative, which I have no issue with. But be honest with people. You should have been honest from day one. But look at the way it was entered into Wikipedia. Look at the way it was told. You lied. I have no respect for you, Kubo. I have very little respect for MAPPA and Avex, and now it's going to make me put my guard up. What are you doing with your next anime? Are you going to tell me the story which I'm expecting, or are you going to covertly do something else? Because here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say to people. If you want to watch this anime and you're a fan of figure skating, it's there. If you're a fan of the shonen ai aspect of things, that's there too. But if you're a fan of figure skating, and let's say you're not a fan of the other stuff, just know it's there, but can you turn your brain off and enjoy the other stuff? Yes. That's if Kubo lets you. Y'all take care, and have a good one. I will see you Saturday morning when we will be looking at Usina Prince Town Maji Love Legend Star. Take care, my friends. Good night.